Just literally in the middle of nothing. There's this. Isn't that incredible? I know, it's incredible. It's just in the middle of nothing. Okay, I think we're both flabbergasted. It's like we found the entrance to the Holy Grail. Okay, let's go inside. Why? I believe this was designated to be Adolf Hitler's final resting place. I believe this is where he was destined to be buried, next to the remains of the first German king. Now we are on location at the Obersalzberg, and I'm doing some project work here to figure out the location of N2. It's a secret location. It's in the Führersperrgebiet here, and it's so secret that even with the exposition of so many places that relate to the Berghof, particularly on YouTube and other social media channels and history documentaries, the N2 secret bunker is something that is hardly known, hardly talked about in relic hunter circles. And I was given a tip off. I have the GPS coordinates here, and I'm going to attempt to find this bunker. Now this could be one of the most significant historical discoveries, certainly in my career, if not elsewhere. I'll tell you why. Relic hunters search for clues. We're historians, we're archaeologists, and when you uncover the hidden, the occult, you need to watch out for signs and symbols. The Kehlsteinhaus, or the Eagle's Nest, the main lounge room with Mussolini's fireplace, is that on the inside is round, but on the outside it's an octagon. And if you know anything about German history, octagon means something in German history. So why is it an octagon? Well, it's a seat of power, of German power. And the Cathedral of Aachen has an octagon in it. Why does that have an octagon? Well, because that's where all of the German kings were coronated. So there's a link between the status of architecture of the German coronation of its kings in the Cathedral of Aachen and the Eagle's Nest here, where Hitler would spend time, or it was designated for him to spend time. So these are architectural links. N2, when you first look at it, it's not your standard Regelbau German bunker. It looks like a crypt, but it's a crypt without a church. It never has had a church. And that got me on a exploration, on a journey to figure out what is the interrelationship between the N2 Notlager bunker and any other piece of architecture. Before I continue with that, let me get back a few steps. We are located at the Obersalzberg, the Führersperrgebiet, where Adolf Hitler had his second seat of government in southern Bavaria. Right. Down there is his house, the Berghof. It's been demolished by the authorities. And his bunker system is down there. And we are well away from his house. We're about a kilometre away from it. We're nowhere near the Obersalzberg Berghof bunker system. And we're going to a place that was actually a model bee house, would you believe? So Bormann Hitler's secretary of the Third Reich, he built all these things, the bunker systems, all these different facilities, and he also built a farm, the ideal German farm. And it has there's 2 points to this. One, to show the German farmer what an ideal farm looks like, and two, in case there is something awry, they're losing the war, or there's a food shortage, that all of the ministers here, including Hitler as head of state, have food. And of course, in Hitler's greenhouse, all his food was grown, and wherever he went, that was then distributed to him. So Bormann, Hitler's secretary, built a model farm. He also built a model bee house here. It's long gone. But the bee house was just a front. It's a front. Underneath the bee house is a bunker. But the bunker is not a standard German Regelbau bunker. What is it? The very few people who know about this place believe that it was a secret store, and it's called N2, German Notlager, or emergency store. And they believe that it was meant to be a place where Hitler in the final days of the end of the war could go escape to, and there would be provisions there. What a load of rubbish. And I'll tell you why that's a lot of rubbish, because when you go into N2, you will see broken arches and crypt-like brick facades. And that means it's a replica of a crypt. Okay, so now I'm going back to the original point that I started off with at camp headquarters down there. I got the schematic of the ground plan of N2. It's clearly the ground schematic of a church or cathedral crypt to the trained eye, and I've done a lot of work in general archaeology. I've been to a lot of cathedrals. Excuse us, but this is we're well over 40, so well, I'm well over 40. I could see this is not an emergency thing. This is a schematic of a crypt. So what do? I get a copy of every single church crypt in Bavaria, and I spend months overlaying the two to see if I get a match. It took 6 months. 6 months of my life devoted to a hypothesis. And where did I get? Nowhere. The hypothesis that I had was proven wrong. It's certainly not a crypt of any crypt of a cathedral in Bavaria. I could have given up at that point. I didn't give up. I went, hang on a minute. What if this is so special? It must be a replica of a crypt of something far more important. And then the first place I looked was the Aachen Cathedral, because that's where the architectural similarities are between the Aachen Cathedral, coronation of the German kings, and the eagle's nest. But the crypt of Aachen Cathedral does not match Notlager 2. Long story short, I finally found a crypt of a significant cathedral in Germany that is a 100% exact copy or replica. And that, hold on to your seats, is Quedlinburg Dome. Darling?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Now Notlager 2 or N2 is such a secret location that literally only a handful of people since the end of World War II have known about it. Why do we know about it? We know about it because in the 70s, a surviving member of the mountaineering SS unit that was stationed here came back and told a trusted comrade and friend who then kept it in a circle of trust. It's so remote, although it's so close to the Berghof, it is in a very remote section of the Führer Sperrgebiet, and no paths lead to it, just while we're going through the scrub. And the only reason why I know where I'm going is because we have the GPS coordinates. Super happy. We did not get the exact moment of when it was found, but we have found it. And I was so petrified that this was just all in my mind. No. It is when you've spent 8 months of your life devoted to something you've never actually physically seen. That's called dedication to your craft.
That's called faith.
Okay, all I just saw was one of the side windows. I haven't seen anything else, so I'm going to stop the camera, reverse it, and we'll go on this amazing adventure together. In the middle of nowhere, just literally in the middle of nothing, there's this. Isn't that incredible? I know, it's incredible.
Oh my gosh.
It's just in the middle of nothing. I mean, this is the stuff.
If you and break your neck, you walk right over it.
This is the stuff of legends. I mean, this is just unbelievable. It's just secret. It's a secret. You either know it's here or you don't. And if this would have been covered up, you can be standing on top of it. You wouldn't know. You would not know you're standing anywhere near a secret Nazi facility. Wow. Okay, let's see what else there is. It looks to be partially intact. I'm so happy about that. There's another one. Wow, that is, and you can see the crumbling brick on the inside. At least I can from here. Extraordinary. This is some sort of base plate. What's this? And some base plate. This says something. It's been chiseled. Oh, Jerushah. Check it out. Wow. Okay, I think we're both flabbergasted. It's like we found the entrance to the Holy Grail. Man, what a secret society SS tip-off this has been. Okay, let's go inside. For precautions, for precautionary measures, I've bought some P2 safety masks, and for the first time in the Klovekorn the Relic Hunter series, I've actually brought along a very powerful torch, and this is just going to be perfect. And now clamp that across the bridge of your nose so you don't get any particles going in there. That's on your chin. All right, beautiful. Okay, all right, we're rolling. It's already on, so. Okay, Notlager 2, let's go. Now, this I believe is in very bad condition, so if you don't want to get in Jerushah, I would understand, so go in at your own risk.
Let's go. Was that your caveat, so I can't see you?
I'm going to proceed with maximum caution here, darling.
Yeah. I can smell that it's old.
Wow.
You go. Oh my goodness. There's another window.
You would not expect this in the middle of nowhere, would you?
No.
There's nothing here that I can see that is asbestos related or that smells bad. I'll just have a quick look in here.
Oh, wow.
So someone has actually been here and they've presumably, yeah, someone's been here and put these concrete pillars in here so that they don't collapse. Extraordinary. I think we're okay to take our masks off, darling. Okay, let me just say I'm extraordinarily pleased to be in this extraordinary secret bunker. It's tiny. This was supposedly is the location of the beekeeping house of the Obersalzberg. Another theory is it's a emergency storage facility where food was stored. Now, just think this through. If you're storing food, all you're going to use is a basic bunker layout. You don't even need that. You just need very simple facilities. It's not an emergency food storage area. A beekeeping house, yes, there was a beekeeping house at the top of this, but a beekeeping house does not need vaulted ceilings like this. A vaulted ceiling like this, with this extraordinary workmanship that requires three-dimensional brickwork, is found in crypts. And as I've mentioned in the previous section, I've mapped all of the crypts in Bavaria. There was no match, and then I found a match for the Quedlinburg Dom. Now, why is the Quedlinburger Dom, or the cathedral in Quedlinburg, why is that significant? It's significant because it houses the bones of the first Saxon king, the first king of Germany. This is a really pivotal figure in Germanic history. And in the 1930s, Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS, simply took the Quedlinburg Dom and took possession of it from the Catholic Church under the guise of renovating the crypt. He said he's doing the church a favor, the church doesn't want to pay for this, and he went there, and the SS did an archaeological survey of the crypt, and then after some time did completely renovate the crypt and then left. This is my theory. When they were renovating the crypt of Quedlinburg Cathedral, Himmler took the remains of the first Saxon king with him, replaced it with some other dubious bones from somebody else, and they built this as a replica of the Quedlinburger Dom crypt. And if you know anything about the Quedlinburger Dom and go into Google and search it up and find the schematic of it, this is exactly what it looks like. And situated roughly where I am, right here, is are three burial points, one of which is the Saxon king. So relic hunters, the few that know about this place, have come here and they've used metal detectors in the hope of finding gold or some other Nazi artifact. There's no gold here, at least it's unlikely. If there's something here, and if we chance upon it, one of the most significant artifacts in Germanic history, covering some 2,000 modern years of German history, will be right here, and that is the last remains of the first Saxon king. So we're looking for bones here. Why? Why here? Why build this replica in the middle of nowhere? And why have the Saxon king's bones put here in secret? And I believe it's for one very simple reason. This was designated to be Adolf Hitler's final resting place. So they had nail. Nail means what?
Wood.
Nail means wood. Exactly. So they had wood in here somewhere. Alright, we found another secret hatch. Look at this. I have no idea what it is. Let's see what it is. Alright, first rule when you're doing something like this, that's a confined space, could have harmful gases in there. If I collapse in there, don't go in after me, you'll just collapse and we'll both die. So keep the hatch open and you call for help, which I think in Germany is, Google will tell you.
Don't scare me.
International number 112, something like that.
Damn, leg is so itchy. I'm impressed you lifted that up.
Further investigations into this mysterious pit show that we are led to two pipes with perforations, which have been placed there on purpose by design to collect water. So the idea of this pit is a water collection sump with the engineered purpose of keeping the crypt dry. So this looks like a bunker door, but it's not. This is actually part of a mole bunker, a single man guardsman bunker, like a big cylinder, and this was blown off. So this tells me a few things. It tells me that around here was an SS security detachment having guard duties. The first thing I want to check is, this is so significant, what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way to Quedlinburg Dom, the cathedral there, and we're going to go into the crypt at the cathedral to compare the two. And the other thing we're going to do is, just out of interest, we're going to see what the alignments are. I want to know where north, east and west is here. I want to know where north, east and west is at Quedlinburg. So let's do that now. Go to my trusty Apple, and let's get our bearings. Wow, I mean, this is exactly what I thought it would be. Come with me and we'll do this together as a team. So I'm now standing in the central part of this secret crypt, which I will call the Adolf Hitler crypt, because because I believe this is where he was destined to be buried, next to the remains of the first German king. And if we now look at the alignment, it's aligned west-east. And the reason why it's aligned west-east, and this is why most pagan temples are aligned either to the solstice points or west-east, because the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. And that has all sorts of allegories and symbolism, both in Christianity and in many ancient cultures too. So this is definitely facing east. So it's quite possible that the sun enters that window and shines upon the crypt of both Adolf Hitler and the first Saxon king. Extraordinary alignment theory. Is this a bit of the plaster? What is that? If we can find plaster or remnants of plaster, they're not being here. Where should we look? Let's look at some undisturbed places.
You don't think that that's plaster right there?
Yeah, that's plaster. There you go. Done. That theory's been resolved too. This is plaster. It's covered this. This is eroded away over time due to moisture. So, and it was exactly as we hypothesized.
Almost lime washed.
Lime washed. Yeah, it's a wash, isn't it? Mm. All right, that's that theory. This would have
looked, up there.
This would have looked completely different when it was first built. It would have been all white. So can we find any wash on here that has any kind of drawing, painting, symbolism? Anything at all, anything that points to what this was meant to be designated as. This is a big chunk of render right there. It's about a centimetre thick render. Of course, render changes in thickness depending on the quality of the workmanship of the initial brickwork. I know that because I've rendered myself. There's wood here. So, next question is, why is this wood here? What purpose does the wood have? You can't make out any patterns.
That there's actually a very good representation of the.
I'll keep this render as a keepsake. Beautiful keepsake. Nothing at all. Nothing pointing to any. No swastikas in there. Nothing.
I don't think so.
But, you know, it may have just been painted. So consistent. You can see it here again. This is a render, and this is some sort of screw. I think it was attached here. That's an interesting development, darling. Look, if you come here, you'll see that all of the window seals are all burnt. And here's more of the render. Here's the render. Here's the render. Again, 1 centimetre thick render. It's quite a render. And the window seals have been burnt. So, did they burn it on purpose?
I'm wondering if they dropped a bomb in here like a hand grenade, and that's why it's blown out at the weakest point.
Possibly.
And that would explain so much
Damage.
And huge chunks of...
And, you know, we know, like, the Nazis at the final end stages of the war, Goering had an amazing mansion dedicated to his first wife, Karin, and the mansion was called Karin Hall of Karin. Amazing, very expensive mansion. He had the place demolished before the Soviets came. Heinrich Himmler, Wewelsburg Castle, the place where the Thule Society had their meetings and the SS Obergruppenführers. Himmler ordered that to be destroyed and blown up in the final stages of the war. So, judging by the history of how the Nazis dealt with their secrets, bring an SS attachment in here, throw a few hand grenades in, let it burn.
Considering how good the condition of the roof is everywhere else, that hole just seems to be innocuous to the rest of it.
This actually has the most amount of stuff in it. Ah, look at this. This is...
Bit of window frame?
Yeah, that's round. So someone's gone to the effort of having a rounded window frame.
Well, hold it up. That would fit in up there.
Yeah, and this is painted white. Look at the effort they went to. There it is.
Beautiful.
Someone went to a lot of effort to make this place look and feel amazing. Should be using my gloved hand. So if you compare the Quedlinburg crypt with this replica crypt, then right here is where the Saxon king is buried. This is the location. So what I'm going to do, we've been through it with a metal detector. There's no metal except for part of the former bee house roof and lots of nails, which means there would have been wood embellishments in here somewhere. I'm going to start digging with very primitive tools and see what we can find. While I think of it, there is one other fact that we know about this place, N2, Nordlager 2. And that is that towards the very final stages of the war, April 1945, when this was considered the Alpine fortress, and there was a theory or a plan, if Hitler wanted to leave his Berlin bunker, they would all come here and the Nazis would have their final stand here at the Obersalzberg. Well, one fact that we know of history is that the Kriegsmarine brought one of their latest Funkmeldungsmaschinen, a communication device here. It was put into a truck, and it was an encrypted Funkmeldungsmaschine, much more advanced and much better than Enigma, because the Germans had realized the Allies must have cracked the secret Enigma coding machine, so they came up with a more improved version, and they had this up here in the very final weeks of the war, and messages were being sent from this location, 100 meters from this location, to Admiral Dönitz, who was then in charge of the war effort, particularly once Adolf Hitler had committed suicide. Now why? Why is that? Is it because this place was a secret location? Is it because there was something else going on? There were some radio messages intercepted here which suggest that messages were being sent to South America. And there is now, if you like, a bit of a theory associated with this place that perhaps something else was buried here of great importance. Was it the Nazi blood flag? Was it some other relic? Something else that was important to them? And was that about to be taken from here before it was swamped by the Americans and then taken to a secret place like South America? At this stage we don't know, but that's the beauty about history. One day we'll find out. So further thoughts on this as we're walking back. Vaulted ceilings of that mastery and magnitude are used for one reason only. They're not actually used because it looks good. They're used because it's an engineering design that distributes very heavy loads equally to the pillars below it. So a wooden one-story bee house, which is what was located above it, would not have needed or required vaulted ceilings like that from an engineering perspective. So those things are clearly they've been constructed as an allegory, as a point of symbolism. We know it points east, another bit of proof for this theory, because vaulted ceilings from an engineering point of view are not required there. We've now made our way 680 kilometers north to Quedlinburg, so we can do a comparative analysis between the Quedlinburg Abbey crypt and the crypt we've just discovered in Berchtesgaden. Well, we're in the Cathedral of Quedlinburg right now to look at the crypt. I was extraordinarily pleased to identify that the alignment of the Quedlinburg Dome crypt was west-east as well, matching that of Berchtesgaden. So, Heinrich I, Henry I, he established the Saxon dynasty of kings and emperors in Germany. He's a pivotal figure in this story, and he is entombed here at the crypt of the castle and cathedral of Quedlinburg. And in fact, Heinrich Himmler used to come here thinking that he was a reincarnation of Henry the Fowler. Let's recap the main thrust of this discovery. For the few who are aware of the so-called N2 bunker, the predominant theory of its purpose is that it was a store for honey, relating to the Bormann bee house under which it was located. A further theory is that it was an emergency food store, hence its name Notlager 2, which means emergency store number 2. Some who have seen photos of the bunker have even suggested it was a cistern or water storage bunker. Let me begin by discrediting these ideas. Let's start with the low-hanging fruit. This bunker is not a cistern, for it cannot hold water. It has a very large lateral entrance, making water retention impossible, and it has an engineered sump and drainage system to keep it dry. An emergency store? No. One doesn't need an elaborate crypt-like vaulted ceiling for a simple storeroom. For this, any Regelbau bunker would have been much better, nor would one need a west-east alignment. The same can be said for a honey storage area, and both would not have necessitated a special signals unit to be sending top-secret encrypted messages from the area in the dying days of the Reich, likely using the latest Schlüsselgerät 41 encryption machine, if all it contained was honey or cans with rations. This discovery has a sump to keep it dry because it houses something important. It has vaulted ceilings, not because it distributes heavy weight above it, not at all. It's clearly a representation or replica of a crypt. It has a west-east alignment, intentionally. So look at Newgrange in Ireland. This is a prehistoric monument, purposely aligned to the rising sun. Look at Quedlinburg Abbey. We have the same alignment. Look at a Masonic temple. Again, the same alignment. This crypt is aligned with the same intention. What about the remnant mole bunker? This indicates an SS Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler unit was protecting the crypt. We then go to its destruction. Does a honey store or a store with rations require detonation? Of course not. The crypt was detonated like Karinhal or Wewelsburg to remove evidence, because it was important. Then the more obvious match is that of the crypt design, matching Quedlinburg Abbey crypt. It even has the same front and side windows and the matching motivation or backstory, again supported by the evidence that Himmler renovated the crypt of Quedlinburg and that it would make perfect sense to bury Hitler next to the first Saxon king. The crypt was designed like Quedlinburg crypt and even had the same render properties. If this was not intended as Hitler's tomb, then it certainly carried deep significance and, at the very least, was a crypt sanctioned by Hitler for some allegorical, monumental purpose, such as keeping a sacred relic in the League of the Blood Flag, Nazis' most hallowed relic, which has not been found to the present day.